Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video is going to be our monthly ASIC pricing update video. This is going to be for April 2025. And in this series, what we do is we are looking for those deals. We're looking for any price fluctuations, whether they're going up, going down. Just try to get a feel for the market and stay ahead of the game. Okay, so this month, there still has been more drops. How much more longer are we going to have drops? How much lower are these things going to go? It's really hard to say, but we're going to look at the overall trends, which ones specifically are going down harder, which ones need to come down further. We're going to talk about it. We'll give our thoughts on the market and just kind of everything going on, right? So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So we'll start briefly just with the overall review of the market. And currently, things are looking better. Definitely looking better than last month. Last month, we were still in the mid 80s. Currently right now we've actually been holding up these, at least as far as BTC goes, between like 92 to 95,000, right? And overall kind of has been holding it. We'll see how much longer, right? We'll see if we start going a little bit lower. The trend just literally today has been just a tad bit lower. Will it hold? Will we go higher? It's hard to say, but things overall are starting to look a little bit more clear, especially on the tariff side. That's been the big thing that's been hanging over us. Currently, we don't have a full resolution with China, but things are slowly looking like they are coming to deals. Currently, we have seen that there are different things that are changing in that climate. They won't commit. Both sides are like bickering back and forth, but both sides have been easing on certain things. So it does seem like they are definitely talking. We're going to have to wait and see. As of now, again, today's April 30th. De minimis is supposed to come to a close on May 2nd. That's going to kind of be a big one. The thought process is that most likely there will be some kind of clarification, at least with that one, just because again that is one that is going to impact us a lot, just because a lot of resellers do use de minimis, and as that does close, if it does close, that will create essentially havoc at the ports, right? Just because again, there's going to be so many things that are going to need to be processed, because then at that point, every damn thing is going to get processed. So all the cheap crap from Wish.com or Temu, etc., are all going to have to get tariffed, right? And it's not so much like, oh, it's charging the fees. It's like doing the paperwork, setting everything up in order for all these people to pay these fees that people are unaware, right? That's the big thing, is a lot of people who are ordering aren't even going to be aware that they're going to have to go to DHL or UPS, create that account with them, KYC with them in order for them to pay that tariff, right? So we'll see if it ends up happening or if it just gets pushed down the road, which is kind of my guess. We're going to have to wait and see. Most likely it's going to be a very last minute decision, or maybe it does go into effect and that will really affect us, right? So, any guys ordering anything, especially if you're from the US, again, people all over the world, but specifically if you're in the US, just make sure you get a hold of that reseller to get a game plan, right? What is going to happen? How are they going to label it as? So that way you kind of know what to expect if there are going to be any tariffs, right? So realistically, right now, it is definitely a tough time to be ordering if you're in the US, just because of so much uncertainty, right? As we've seen, literally, it's day to day. Things change literally on the daily. It's been crazy in those regards, right? So overall, the market, until we get full clarity with that, it's hard to really see us getting super bullish. We have been trending up quite a bit here these past few days, but for us to really go forward, we really need a deal, especially with China, right? So how much longer this thing's going to loom over us? They did put that 90-day pause, so it can be up to 2 more months of this garbage, but my prediction is that we'll probably get at least mostly a resolution sometime before then, hopefully sooner than later, right? And as far as altcoins go, there has been certain pumps, right? BTC has been holding the best, definitely. Alts, in many cases, have been bleeding. A lot of them have had a resurgence, though, right? We can see Sol did make it back up to like the 140, 150 range. Went down to freaking like under $100 not too long ago. Same with a lot of the other alts, right? A lot of them have pumped up quite a bit. There have been certain niches that have been pumping. The agents, for whatever reason, recently have been pumping. Virtuals being a big one. It was damn near $1.50, so almost the 4x from the lows here just a few weeks ago, as well as a lot of the other coins, right? So right now, currently, there is a drop, though, so typically those things that have been pumping are going to get hit the hardest. but it's showing strength for altcoins, right? That's definitely something we want to see, regardless if it's your altcoin or not now. We want to see strength there, right? So that is at least is a good sign. Or let's get on to some of the good stuff, though. Let's look at overall mining profitability. And in reality, it's kind of more the same, right? It's the same leaders up top. A lot of the current Alio ASICs, which are going to continue to go down and down as the hash rate and difficulty increases. So those I wouldn't even factor. Again, the Hydro units I wouldn't factor. And again, it's pretty much the script and the BTC ASICs up top. As far as the alts go, some of them are starting to show some life. As we mentioned, some of the altcoins were going up a bit. One that was kind of a standout is Cadena did pump up quite a bit. You can see here, again, it was like 30 something cents not too long ago. It did do a 2x to the point where now the ASIC, the KA3, is actually profitable at a 10-cent kilowatt hour, right? So it's making about $3.75. Is that much? Absolutely not. But again, break even or better is the threshold. And the big thing right now, it's a combination of the price action as well as the difficulty going down, right? So this is the thing, as more people are not profitable, right? So people with higher electric, like me, for example, being at 14-cent kilowatt hour, a lot of us are unplugged, right? So because of that, what happens? The difficulty starts to trend lower. Your yield is going to go higher, okay? So the good example here, currently their hash rate's down to about 521 petahash. The last time we were that low, we got to go all the way back to like December 2023, January 2024, right? So it has gone down pretty significantly from the peak of about 900. So pretty significant drop, right? So because of that, that's what's making it. Now, how long is that going to last? It's hard to say, because guess what? As people see that profitability increase, they're like, okay, time to plug in, and that's going to slowly creep up and find that leveling off period yet again. So is it confident enough for me to say, like, yeah, definitely plug in? We have to see that hash rate increase, because, again, as people see this, it's going to go up. Or if Cadena starts to go down with the market again, it may slip a little bit, right? It's hard to say, but just one of those things to keep in mind. Just because it's not profitable now doesn't mean it can be profitable in the future, right? So got to kind of play the game. Got to be able to mine the dip. You want to look at different things, and it can happen even when it's the ASICs, right? Typically, that's something we do more with GPUs and such. But currently, during these trends, a lot of people not only unplug, but they kind of disconnect also. So they're not really following the game. They're not really looking at things. So just something to keep in mind there. But again, as we go down the list, it's the same players all over the place, right? Until we see a lot more of these alts kind of price appreciate, it's going to be more of the same. Okay. Now let's start with some of these prices. And again, one of the biggest things affecting us here in the US is the entire tariff situation, right? Again, you have to talk to whatever reseller you're going to use to get specifics as to how they're going to play it. Are they still using de minimis? Are they placing it as a server? Like, talk to them so you know what to expect. One way to avoid all of that is that there have been resellers that have a warehouse here in the US. So we're going to highlight Bitmars again specifically for that. Certain ASICs, it's not all of them. It's only the more popular models. They do have inventory here in the US to avoid those tariffs. You are going to be paying a premium, but the premium may be significantly less than getting stuck with paying the actual tariffs for this thing if you were to get stuck, if you were to get stopped by that, right? So just something to consider. Again, there is a premium, though, because, for example, the L9 is one of them. Bitmars does have a warehouse here in the US. As you go through the menu, you have to look for ones that have USA spot, right? Again, it's only going to be certain ones. It's not all of them. It's the more popular models. They do have a batch of these 16.5 gigahash models at right around $8,000, right? So it's not just them. It's quite a few other resellers. It does seem like they have potentially access to the same warehouse. That's my guess as to what it is. But again, a lot of your favorite resellers actually source theirs from Bitmars and some of these other larger ASIC providers, okay? Because again, the US spot inventory, it's about 8K. If we go with a pre-order price, it was down to 5,600 for this May batch, right? It is out of stock, though. They did sell out. But there was some other vendors. I think Apex had them for like a day at like $4,500, right? Which is pretty freaking insane. Not sure if that was an error or not, but if any of you guys got in on that one, that was one hell of a deal. 5,600 isn't bad, but again, it's the whole issue with the tariffs. Maybe we'll get resolution after May 2nd, just to see what happens with de minimis, if it's extended or not. But definitely something to factor in. So the other ones I saw that they did have USA spot. One was the AlphaPex DG1 Plus. Again, they do have US spot inventory of 5,600. If you were to buy it outright, 5,200. So in this case, not that much of a difference, right? So it's actually not too bad there. Again, factor in with the DG1 Plus, though, the DG1 or the DG2 will be coming here in a couple of weeks. I think they have it listed as a June batch. We haven't officially got word from AlphaPex giving us the full release and the full price, but we'll look at one vendor that does have it listed, and that's probably around the price range where it's going to be. Another one they do have are the S21s. They have the S21 Pluses. They do have spot inventory for 4,100, as well as the S21 XPs, and almost 7K for that bad boy. Regular spot would be 6,200. So although it is high, it's just high in general, right? But the US spot inventory is about 7K. So we'll see if the issues continue with this tariff situation, then expect them to potentially expand this inventory level, right? Just because, again, specifically with these big buys, it is definitely going to make a massive difference. Imagine if you get hit with those crazy tariffs for one of these price units, it would be massive, right? Something that's like under $1,000, under $1,200, kind of a different story. So that's why mainly it seems to be the more expensive ASICs, right? As we look further into some of the prices, again, the L9 overall has dropped quite a bit. You can see NHash's 16 gigahash model is 7,500. Last month it was about 8,400, so definitely dropping. And even this price has been fluctuating, give or take about $500. Again, some of the other resellers are listing 15 gigahash models at an even lower price, under 7K. So definitely certain deals to be had, but again, for a lot of us in the US, it is tricky because of that. But for you guys outside of the US, not a bad time, right? So again, we're talking about the DG2. The only one that has them listed so far is like ASIC Marketplace and Miner Bros. They're saying June batch and then $9,500. So yes, it is more efficient than the L9. Is it by much though? Not at all, right? Not enough to pay that much of a premium over the prices of the L9s. Right, so although the DG2 is technically the new king, Bitmain's response, if they don't release a plus model here in the next few months, is going to be they're going to beat them out in the price department, right? Because at this point, again, like we mentioned, that May batch price of under 6K, definitely way more appealing than this price point, right? And if they can beat them out in the hardware price and the hardware terms, they're going to beat them out in the price, right? We've seen them kind of do that in the past. They'll leverage whatever they can, right? Realistically, also, though, just don't be too surprised if in these coming months, especially if we do start pumping here coming into May, June, that we see like a plus model of the L9, right? So we don't know. We're just kind of playing the name of the game, but we know typically Bitmain does not like to be number 2, right? Especially with something they are one of the leaders in, right? Which script ASICs is kind of their thing. Let's continue down the list. So the D1 Mini went down a little bit further, went down another like $300, right? So this was about, or $200, it was about $1,500 last month. It's down to $12.99. They do have a bulk deal of $20 off a unit, which isn't that much, but it is there if you're planning on ordering a bunch of these things. But for $1,300, it is not bad, and now kind of does make it more appealing than like the DG Home 1, right? Last month, our argument was they were the same price. I'd go with the unit that's potentially more reliable. At this point here, this guy is going lower and lower, right? So this guy does obviously become more appealing because of that, because that's where it arguably should be priced. And then keep in mind also this guy is more efficient, does have less moving parts. We'll see how it holds up long term though, right? As we go down the list, these Jazz miners have been creeping down, arguably not enough, right? So even this X16Q, which this is the 8 gig model, this is the full regular model, is down to $12.99. The iPolo, though, this is where it gets tricky. Again, 3400 mega hash, 475 watts, 1950, 620 watts, right? So very big, significant increase in efficiency with the iPolo unit. The downfall is the limitation with the RAM, right? You're only going to have 5.8 gigs available versus the 8 gigs here. And the difference is being able to mine ETH-W, right? ETH-W, weird coin, but it has been holding up and is still the most profitable coin to mine. As weird as that sounds, even right now with Octa's little pump, ETH-W is actually still more profitable, right? So that is kind of one limitation with the other devices, and it does hamper almost all of the other new devices, right? It's essentially only the Jazz miners that are able to mine ETH-W, right? So as like ETC hash rate starts going up, Octa going up because of the price action, ETH-W doesn't go up as much because, again, only specific hardware can mine it, and it's only pretty much the Jazz miners, right? So something to kind of consider there. To me, realistically, this price point should be under $1,000 though, right? If they hit that 9999, it makes it more appealing, even though it is less efficient, right? For me, though, ideally, efficiency is king. I'm a bigger fan of efficiency. That to me would be way more appealing. I just hate the limitation of the freaking memory. Like, it's such a weird oversight that it's not only them, right? We even saw it with Bitmain with the E11. It's just such a weird limitation. Like, why would you put that on there, right? So why wouldn't you just increase that spec? But again, this guy is down to $2,100, and they even finally did reprice the V2, which is the larger unit, down to $6,000. To me, it should be a bigger discount though, because it'd still just be more appealing to get the V2H, just because again, you're getting a smaller pie or a smaller slice of the pie, slightly less risk because you're putting up less capital. Although the price to hash is going to be slightly better with this guy, it's not enough of a discount to kind of justify it, right? Realistically, again, I'd rather just go with the V2H. This guy, hook us up with like a 20% discount, right? Go down to under 5K, and it becomes more appealing. Is it super appealing though? Somewhat, right? Kind of it's like a half-ass big boy being at 1500 watts. Will they eventually release a full size like 3000 water? We don't know. And then so far, also on the Jazz Miner front, we still haven't got any damn news on those 44s, right? That's one thing a lot of people have been waiting for. We're just about in May. Even if it's not going to come out until, let's say, August, September, they should start talking about it now, right? Pre-order things like, okay, it's going to be this time. We're not getting any of that, right? Which is extremely odd, which does not give me a lot of confidence that it's going to be anytime soon. Especially because they weren't at Mining Disrupt. You would think that maybe they would have announced there's some news like, hey, definitely things are going good. Hopefully by September, October, it'll be ready. And maybe they had a prototype. Something to garner that hype. But the fact that they're not doing any of that, and they're being super quiet on all their socials, it is not a good look, right? So we'll see. Hopefully maybe they surprise us, but not looking good there on that front. And then Bitmain's still refusing to reprice things. I even looked on their website. They still have the MSRP on this thing, which makes 0 sense considering the competition. Again, even comparing it to the larger iPolo unit. Again, this guy is 9,000 mega hash, but this guy's 10 gigahash, right? So it's even more at only 1,500 watts versus the 2340 of this guy. And they're the same price, right? Does not make any sense. So it's kind of weird. They haven't repriced this. They haven't repriced the AL1. As a matter of fact, it's still like 10K on their website. Like, it's such a weird thing. Like, they kind of like threw in the towel a bit. They have been lowering the price on the Caspa ASIC, so the KS5, the 20 terahash model, is down to 1050 shipped, which is pretty freaking redonkulous. And because of this price point, it just doesn't make the other units appealing at all whatsoever, including their new unit, right? Or including even just comparing it to the competitor, the iceriver KS7. Yes, it's more efficient at 116 joules a terahash versus the 150 here. But it's not enough of a game-changing difference to justify 4x the price. This guy going down to $1,000, this needs to go lower, right? This, even at $29.99, kind of a rough sell, as crazy as that sounds, just because of where we're at in this market, right? And then when we come to the KS7, which is the 40 terahash 3080 watt monster, yes, it is more efficient. Yes, it is twice as efficient as this guy, and it is a decent upgrade over iceriver's KS7. I don't know about no freaking $6,000 though, right? This definitely needs to come in lower also. Okay, so realistically, this guy should be repriced $29.99. This guy $4,500 or so. Hard to say. Is just where we're at in this market. It's definitely overpriced. I think right now they're kind of hoping that Caspa maybe gets a little pump just because 10 blocks per second will be here in about a week, right? May 5th, which is a big deal. But that doesn't mean just because that's happening, we're going to have the price action or price appreciation. As a matter of fact, we may have already had it, right? We were at 10.5 cents, and we're down to 8 cents currently as is, right? It may be already the buy the rumor, sell the news thing may already be in process. Okay, so don't be surprised to see that happen, or just because we're going to have that good news come that day that we're going to pump, that doesn't necessarily mean that. Especially when the market is kind of in the dumps like where we're at right now. If we're like bull market, everything's up, and that news were to drop then sure, the trajectory would be awesome. But right now, because of the overall sentiment, I don't see that being the case. This guy to me still seems way overpriced, right? We're going to see what happens, though, by the time this thing ships. Again, it's not going to be shipping until May, potentially the end of May. I'm guessing they're kind of hoping we get something before then. But again, don't be surprised to see this guy go down. And then obviously, if this guy goes down, most likely this guy will also go down. But on the inverse, if Caspa appreciates, goes up to 12 cents, 14 cents, 16 cents, beyond that, the prices may be more justified. Again, it's hard to say at the moment just because, again, we have to base it off of right now's price, not what we think it may be in a couple of weeks, in a couple of months, right? At this time, that's what it is, right? Especially with this guy being a freaking $1,000, right? This guy being so freaking low, it feels like these things are just have to go down, right? It's crazy. It's crazy to even think that this guy is $1,049, but that's where we're at, bros. Let's continue down. For the most part, that is it. This was the highlight we're comparing to the D1 Mini. Again, now that there is a significant savings with the D1 Mini, it kind of does make more sense. All $200 is $200. But that is a thing to factor in. Also consider that the fact that there's a DG2, there's going to be a DG Home too. Like, it's going to happen. How far after it's going to be, we don't know. Right? Is it going to be something that comes in July, or is it something that comes Q3, Q4, right? I'm personally leaning towards probably later. They would have probably announced it at the same time if it was going to be around there. They're probably going to prioritize the chips for the DG2 and then focus on this guy. But who knows? But overall, though, price points have definitely gone lower. How much lower they'll go is just going to be dictated by the market, right? At this point, there is still volatility. There's still not clarity in the market. It's potential. Again, there was that 90-day pause. It's possible that although right now things were looking good, BTC was like 94, 95, some of the alts were pumping, that we don't start going backwards in these negotiation talks with these tariffs, right? If things kind of backpedal with China, that can change things. We have seen progress made with the Ukraine and Russia conflict. If that kind of starts going back, because I think that's also part of the reason that the price has been kind of going up, just because things kind of looking positive there. But if, again, we backtrack on that, that can retrace things quite a bit. There is a conflict going on now in India also. So a lot of factors in. We're still not in full clarity mode where, okay, trajectory looks good. There still is possibility for things to go down, but just as quickly as they go down, they can go up like that, right? We get an actual deal with China tomorrow. BTC may rip, everything else may rip, and that may be the beginning of the full run up that we've been all waiting for, right? So it's hard to say. It's risk to reward depending on price points, but to me, the big factor is also the uncertainty with the damn tariffs, right? That's definitely a big factor for me, at least, like, because that's just a pain in the ass, right? The last thing you'd want to do is get one of these things and get stuck paying either a ridiculous tariff or your unit gets stopped at customs and it's there for like months or something, right? That's one thing we definitely 100% need clarity on. And that's one of those things, right? So hopefully we do get this deal with China so we can get clarity on all this tariff situation, these ASIC shipping. We get more positive news here, right? But kind of to each their own. But currently, prices are looking pretty juicy in some cases. Let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think? Are you guys ordering anything? Have you guys had any successful orders? On that front, forgot to mention, so no issues with the A0, and also did have another package from Hong Kong as well. For you guys following Natix, I did get my little VX360 in, and zero issues on that front also, right? So a lot of these guys have been trying to get orders out before de minimis closes. Just in case it does fully close, we'll have to wait and see. But let me know in the comments though, guys, if you guys have been ordering successfully and from who without issues, right? But please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And I am out.